find your pen.
Frustrated with your pain or injury? That sucks. But I'm here to help. Hi, my name is Denise DeShetler, and I'm a bodyworker and educator. Why is it so hard to find the care we need to feel better? Most of my clients have asked that question for years until we started working together. Now I'm going to help you find those answers. I'll explore different health disciplines and chat with talented practitioners. We'll share our insights and practical advice to help you get the results you need to feel good again. Because seeking the right care for your health can be a pain in the arse. But with me, your wellness journey will turn into a fun-filled adventure. Buckle up, baby, for the Passionate Health Advocate Show.
Welcome, listeners, and thanks for joining. I'm happy you're here. Today, we are going to a place where rediscovering tools we already have can help us get unstuck and break down barriers in our mental health. Let's buckle up. Welcome to the land of resources. We are searching for Carl Arrogante, personal development and life coach. Is that you?
Yes, it is. Welcome aboard.
Thank you. I'm so glad we have landed in a bunch of resources because that's exactly where the show wants to go. And I'm happy we found you. So thank you, Carl, for being our guide today.
Well, thank you. I'm happy to be here.
Great. So I'm sure everybody's like, well, what does that mean, land of resources? Are you HR?
Right. The land of human resources. You need to bring a pillow for that tour, because that's definitely a snoozer. But no, what I'm here to sort of talk a little bit about is what I call in our land. One of our primary exports in our land is strengths. We do resource mining and strength mining, and I think that it's a very, very important export in our little town, in our little country, our land, however you want to call it. Because I believe that everyone has these inherent strengths and resources within them. And one of the things I'm the most passionate about, and the things that really gets me excited about the work that I do, is going on a journey and mining for those resources within the clients that I work with.
Okay, this sounds very interesting. So tell us again what you do and who are the clients that you work with?
So this is the $1 million question, right? So I am a personal development and life coach. I have recently started my online practice, and after 25 plus years of working in various clinical and non-clinical settings. A majority of my career, I've worked in substance abuse and mental health, residential treatment, this and that. But I've also had forays in child welfare, working with foster care system, the legal dependency system, and a couple of jaunts in between. Maybe we'll get to learn about them more, where I was a personal trainer, nationally certified with 2 national certifications. And
can I ask you,
yeah.
So all of those jobs before the personal trainer, what role did you have? You said you were working.
I was a mental health therapist. And
mental health, okay. Mental health therapist.
And a substance abuse counselor. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So I did that for a long time, loved it. And that's where I sort of cut my teeth and really came to, sounds so corny to say love what I do, but it's really love the process of the encounter I have with the clients that I work with. And so I have a very broad sort of history. So I say that to say, who am I working with now? I cast a pretty wide net, although I do love working with helping professionals, other social workers, frontline EMS, military, police, teachers, on working on compassion fatigue, professional burnout, that type of stuff. That, if you ask me, is like what really gets me excited. That those are the people I get excited with. But lately, I've been getting a lot of young adults who are looking for who I mean, when I was a young adult their age, I wasn't nearly as self-aware and emotionally intelligent as some of these young people are nowadays. So they're making me step up my game. So I'm enjoying that as well.
Oh, nice. Wow. Yeah, it sounds like your background is pretty loaded and having you equipped for going off on your own. What made you go into becoming, more of a personal development coach
Yeah,
versus, working in mental health and working
sure.
in social work?
Well, I'm not a big, well, if I'm going to be perfectly honest, should I be perfectly honest? Is the land of resources an honest place? Is it a safe place?
Yeah, we pretty much like everyone to be honest wherever we travel. So that's the
Where
hope.
we try. Well, what it was is one. I think, interestingly enough, I needed to change personally. I mean, working in child welfare, where I was for the last 5 years, two of which as a supervisor running a team of workers. I mean, it's heavy. It's heavy
Mhm.
stuff, right? And so there's sort of that was it. But I've always thought about having my own practice, just a matter of timing. I'm also not a big diagnosis advocate. I mean, I appreciate the importance and the use of diagnosis, but it's not how I like to it's not the lens that I necessarily look through in working with my clients, even when I was working within, the diagnosis model. Oftentimes I'm working with a psychiatrist, and, you have those types of conversations, and I know I would have them, but did it really vibe with what I really, how I looked at my work? Not so much. And so when the opportunity came where I said, you know what, I just sort of want a professional change and I want to go off on my own. I looked at personal development, life coaching really appealed to me because of its sort of future focus, goal oriented, solution oriented sort of landscape, as opposed to deficit based, problem focused. Not to say that what I do isn't necessarily trauma informed, but a lot of the stuff back there, which is important, but not where I really like to spend my time. Um, I am educated in, like I said, I'm a closet Jungian. I there's nothing like a good dream analysis and an archetype to make your day. But I really, really enjoy um, talking about the present, looking at outcomes, future outcomes, strength based, client focused, client informed stuff. And that's um, again, nothing new. There's a lot of solution focused therapy, which I'm big on, behavior, CBT, all these sort of more modern modalities. Um, so yeah, I don't know if I answered your question, but that's what I like. And life coaching gives me a lot of there's a lot of a lot of real estate for to create that type of to have that type of an outcome or that type of a approach.
Yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense, and I understand where you're coming from. It's again, we talked about this before before we got on the call, which is we both like the idea of taking people to a land, kind of like a
Yeah.
fresh start, fresh approach. And it sounds like under certain models of the way that you worked before, it didn't always allow that. And it sounds like you yourself are taking this approach for personal development because it sounds like it has a lot to do with resource mining that seems to speak with you, and you can move your clients forward in a way that you feel is best appropriate. So, do you want to tell us more about resource mining? Because I'm sure people are like, okay, I know a lot of people have heard about personal development coaches
Yeah.
or life coaches. And yes, people are more like goal based, but I don't know if a lot of people know what resource mining is.
So I don't know if I made up the term, but I do use the term of resource mining because, as I said, I truly believe that all of us have within ourselves the strengths, assets, and skills needed in order to solve whatever condition or reach the outcomes that one may want to pursue. However, because of the context, real life contexts that we live in, and all the society, personal, all the idiosyncratic stuff that surrounds an individual, it may not always be apparent that those resources are there. Oftentimes we actually minimize or overlook our individual resources because we have, I don't know, it's very difficult, or we've been trained to think that our abilities, there's something that we need to attain, or there's more that we need to do, or there's more that we need to learn. And that creates sort of like a deficit, as if a person is lacking. Well, I don't do good at math, or I'm not I'm really good at this, but I'm just not a go-getter. It's like, okay, well then what are you? I like to spend time with my clients talking about the person that they are without necessarily any modifications or without any enhancements. Through the process of working with my clients, we can develop skills, we can learn more skills. I mean, there's all kinds of skills out there and techniques and approaches that we can adopt and learn. But I really like to spend time, for lack of a better term, in reminding and helping my clients rediscover that they've got a lot of the tools that they need. They just got to learn how to utilize them and utilize them towards their goals. But it starts first by the little bit of reminding and looking for it, because sometimes it's down there pretty deep.
Hence the mining. Okay.
Hence the mining part. It's not like I do it with a pickaxe. Sometimes it's just a shuffling of things aside on like a desk. Oh, look, there's that pen that I love. I love this pen. I could probably, actually, that's real. Like I can only write with a certain pen. And so when I found it, I suddenly became very prolific, and it's sort of like a very interesting correlate, because that's kind of like what it is. Wow, I love this pen. I'll show you this pen. This is my pen. And this is going to be this. This is it. Simple.
Oh, nice.
That's a nice little pen. But, that was it. I found it under a pile of stuff, and it was kind of like a silly little anecdote is, I found it on a pile of papers and in a notebook and stuff. And I just, oh, wow, here it is. Put something. And all of a sudden I was like enjoying writing in my journal even more. And it's sort of a similar, probably oversimplified, but almost exactly that's what it is. If you can find your pen, and let's see, maybe that pen can help, be the thing that's either opens you up to new possibilities or just gets the ball rolling. Because sometimes that's the hardest part, is just get the ball rolling. You spend a lot of time just feeling bad.
For sure. And I have to say, I really like that approach that you have. I think now I would imagine people that come to you that need assistance, obviously they're probably not in a good place. And I would assume, even for myself included, a lot of people would feel broken, like something's wrong. And so it's so nice to hear just already that approach of like, okay, you know what? You already have things inside of you. You're not trying to get anything outside of you to move yourself forward. And you're just going to help them utilize what's already there. I think that's a wonderful approach. Yeah.
That's my hope. But you're right. Is sometimes clients present themselves and it's a harder sell, so to speak. Because like you said, for some people are just super stuck, or they're just really, really, they feel broken. And that's, of course, always makes me feel sad, and maybe they are. It's okay to feel that way. But if they're in front of me, and they're talking to me, that tells me that there's still some fight in there. There's still some desire and some hope. I've had some people. I've actually worked. I can think of one client I worked with many, many years ago that said, "Well, I'm only here because I want you to." How would she say? I want you to confirm that I'm effed up. Mm-hmm. Okay, so because this is her experience with working with other mental health professionals and counselors, was the discussion was about, you've been through all of these things and you are broken. It's like, wow, well, no, not really. You've got some stuff, a lot of stuff, tremendous amount of stuff. Half of it, if I went through some of your stuff, I probably wouldn't even be here today, but you are. But you're not, that doesn't make you unworthy. It doesn't make you, and I'm not here. I said, well, then I might not be the person that you're going to work with, that's going to work with you, because I'm not going to give you that stamp of approval, because I don't give it. And she was kind of shocked at that. And we worked together for another year.
Nice.
So
Nice. Yeah. Yes. Anybody listening, we might have things that feels like it's breaking us, but we're not broken.
we're not, we might
No.
be cricky, like I said, and I, for me, those are I think that makes a person beautiful, in a way that makes them unique, that makes them special. I think we all might feel broken or have parts of us that are fractured and fragmented, but that sort of emotional patina, that weatheredness, that kind of makes it makes you special, and that I love that. I had a old professor say once that he's a physics professor actually, and he was Italian. Don't actually remember his name, but he was talking about how tires work. Do you ever know how tires work? Like, you turn the car and the car turns.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, it's a whole thing. It's like science. And it's like, wow, it blew my mind. But I remember he had mentioned, he says, the tire that is smooth, again, I'm paraphrasing, this was many, many years ago, 1,000 years ago. When the tire is really smooth, it like a Formula One car, it goes very fast and it's really, really sexy, because he was Italian. It's just very sexy and, very smooth, and it's very efficient. He goes, but when the going gets tough, and if you're racing in the hills of whatever, I remember he was mentioning, you want a tire that has cuts and grooves, and that's the tire that you want, and because that's what will provide the traction and the friction that you need in order to go safely through the turns. And I was like, man, this Italian dude's very, very cool. But that stuck with me a lot. And I think the people are the same way. We're like these cracked tires that, every now and then needs to be inflated at the proper pressure, but we should be proud of those ridges and gaps and cracks. Makes us who we are.
Well said. And I also feel like you're the person that actually gives us the pump, right? You get
I like to think so. Sure.
So you're like
Why
pumping
not?
the tires.
Pumping the tires. I'm part of your pit crew. If we're going to go with that metaphor, I'm just one part of a crew. Sometimes people need someone to pump the tires, another person needs to wipe off the windshield, and I'm a part of the team. I'm not think that I would have just one thing to offer, and that's what's gonna cure you. No. I oftentimes encourage my clients, if they have a therapist that they work with, if they have a personal trainer that they work with, a nutritionist, I said, hey, if you're allowing me to be a part of your team, then thank you. I'm the lucky one. I like to think I have something to say that makes me feel good about myself, and something important to offer, that's all great. That makes my ego feel nice. But, I'm just a resource that I hope people can utilize in whatever means that they feel is important to them or helpful to them.
Nice. And I think that's also great. You are an excellent resource. And I know my belief and what I like to do on this show is that there's no one end all be all when it comes to our health or anything in life. We're all different shapes and sizes and beliefs and functions. And so it's nice to know that, there's professionals out there that see the big picture and know that you are an integral part of a team or other resources. And so I think that's really valuable. And I think it also helps you do a better job. So,
thanks.
Yeah.
Well, I'm in good company since that you're my friend, so we're good.
We're good.
You mind if I drink water while we talk?
No, we're both gonna have a sip of water right now. And if you're listening, this is a good time for a water break.
Oh yeah, it's the Passionate Health Advocate Dance Break. Now get up and shake your thing. Hey listeners, Denise here. Have you ever thought about doing your own podcast? Well, let me tell you about Pod to Go. These guys rock. They do all the tedious stuff for me, like show notes, sound editing, audiograms, videograms, and even publish every single episode for my show. They do all that work for me and it doesn't break the bank. But want to know my favorite part? They're so easy to communicate with. Seriously, if you're looking for a team to help you with your podcast, please go with Pod2Go. To get started with a 10% discount, email pod2go.app@gmail. That's pod2go, pod2go.app@gmail.
Okay, so I do want to ask you, because we're talking around it. I would love an example because people are like, okay, that's great. I have strengths. What does that mean? I would love to know if you can paint a picture, give us an example of how you were able to pull someone's strengths or assets, as you say, to help move them forward.
Yeah. Well, there are a lot of ways to do it. A lot of what I do really is guided and informed by also engagement. You know, a lot. I'm really big on. It's hard to do anything. It's hard for me to share anything that I know and or for my clients to absorb anything. Well, that's not true. They may absorb it intellectually, but whether it really, really gets into where it needs to go, that's hard to do without good engagement and rapport building. So a lot of what I do is a lot of that. You know, that's kind of interwoven. That's the, if we're going to make a meal, you know, that's the salt. That's the, or no, maybe not the salt. That's the oil. That's the thing that kind of makes everything kind of work together. Uh-huh. I could say stuff. I could say, well, I have this technique. I have that technique. I can, and it's just, that's very intellectual and academic. It's great for teaching student, but for when you're working with someone on a more intimate sort of help, client coach sort of relationship, I need that collaboration. That's how I like to work. Okay. So that being said, one of my favorite questions to ask is looking for the exceptions. So if a person presents with an issue that, I don't know, we need to pick an issue. Can you think of an issue? I don't like speaking in front of crowds. And I just got a new job. And I want to, one part of my new job is to speak in front of people. So they have a fear of speaking in front of people. And so I might try to work within the conversation and back and forth and say, well, can you think of some times where you have not been afraid of, where you have spoken in front of a large group of people that, where you weren't afraid? Oh, yeah, sure. Sure. Like in my, daughter's what do you call them? Girl Scout troop. And I tell stories in front of my Girl Scout troop. I'm like, okay, I can't think of anything more frightening than a group of 10 to 12-year-old girls, listening to me to entertain them for an hour, because I was also a Daisy troop father myself, leader. And so, oh no, really? That's really kind of easy. Well, what is it? Well, I'm just telling a story and these are just kids and they're just looking at me and I'm like the coolest person. And, I wear funny clothes. Tell me more about that. Okay. So how do you get ready? And so we get into that conversation and then I'd say, okay, maybe with a little bit of exploration, we can tap into, well, what is it about what's the difference? Which is another thing I like to look for, the difference that makes the difference. What's the difference between a group of 12-year-olds and a group of professionals? Well, these are adults and they're judging me. 12-year-olds aren't judging you. I don't think any more judgmental group than a bunch of 12-year-olds. And, and you infuse some, that's where we start talking and that's where the cool stuff happens. And so we start to unpack sometimes some of those underlying fears and beliefs. You're like, well, they're 12-year-olds aren't judging me. And these people are, or these people are my superiors and these people aren't, and then so it's hard for me to kind of make up stuff, right now on the fly, but that's sort of where it's all the cool, that's where the resources, the nuggets of strength start to come out. So you can speak in front of people, but there's a certain group of people. There are things that you do to prepare for situations. Oh, well, I remember one time I did speak at, I did do a presentation of this, and you'll be surprised once you start opening up a conversation of strength and and you look at the exceptions, all of these other exceptions like fall out of the closet. All of these other times. Well, there was that time I remember. It wasn't a big group, but I did have a conversation with, at a party, and I don't know. Next thing I know, I'm outside by the pool, and there's 7 people, and they're all interested in what I have to say. Well, that wasn't scary for you, and you were just at a random party, and blah, 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 blah. And then it sort of goes from there. And again, there's a little bit of reframing. There's a little bit of but it creates a story and builds upon, like, no, you've done this before. Okay. This is the thing that's just happening now. And for some reason, there's stuff there that's me. And so I try to see how we can utilize some of that stuff, and I've even using the daisies, it's like the daisy troop as an example, I might utilize. So I know when I was a Daisy's Girl Scout daisy troop dad, we had a manual, literally a manual that we follow. Well, they have this manual, and I just follow it, and I just come. Okay, well, is there anything like that we can draw upon with your group? Oh, we have our operating manual. Okay, so how do we prepare? How can we, let's look at the correlates. Let's look at the connections, and if we're lucky, we can get them to a point where we can, again, just you bring those tools out of the shed, out of the closet, find that proverbial pen, and let's just apply it to the situation that they're in,
Nice. Yeah, that makes sense. What I see is, once it seems like you're shifting the situation. I know when any of us get stressed about something, we can only see what's stressing us out.
Yep.
And it sounds like you're taking the approach of, okay, maybe your situation isn't impossible, and let's look at something that could be similar, where you had to utilize a strength to get you through a similar experience, and how can that be applied to your current situation, even if it's really stressful.
Even if it's really stressful. And, again, there would be some, specific interventions that we could utilize, new interventions, breathing. I'm just making it up off the top of my head. Breathing exercises, being prepared, all kinds of stuff we could do to address that specific situation, and the current situation. But again, it's about, you don't have to relearn. You don't have to relearn all of this stuff. You don't need to be Tony Robbins all of a sudden to do this presentation. You have it. Again, it sounds corny, but it's sort of like there is a bit of hope installation in there. I'm trying to, and some validation of you're okay. You've got it. You can do this. And you may fail, and that's okay. And you may have to do. Oh, well, but my presentation is in a week. Okay, well, we'll do what we can. And hey, just know that you might do this, and it might be horrible. You might experience it as difficult, as embarrassing, or whatever. But you know what? 1, I'm on your side, and I'm here for you. 2, you'll be okay. I had a client tells me, he was like, well, there's a meme that goes, well, did you die? You might feel like it might hurt, right? Mm-hmm. But again, that adds to your patina. It just means that this is an area that we obviously just need to work on, where you don't feel that competency. It's going to suck. It's going to hurt. But you know what? You're not in 1, you're not alone. And 2, you have the ability to get through this. And I guarantee you the next presentation, with a little bit of work and a little bit of, you just stay in there. And I am a jiu-jitsu practitioner. One of the things is they say is like, just keep on showing up. If you just keep on showing up, the next time will just be a little bit easier. And then we can set timely. What are the things you'd like to accomplish in this one? If you're not going to be a world-class public speaker in a week, but what would you like to, well, I'd just like to go up there and not, what are the small steps? Then we can even part of the process is breaking it down then. Okay, well, what would you like to accomplish? And what are the minimum? What are the easy? What's the low fruit and what's the high fruit? The high fruit is that you're, up on stage and with 1,000, but a low fruit is I just want to go and just not cry before I,
Yeah.
Okay, let's work on that. Let's work on that. So little things. And again, everyone's different. Everyone's approach is different. Everyone's approach to learning how to be a public speaker is going to be different. Depends on your strengths and resources.
Right. No, that's really good. The first thing I feel is it's very comforting. I think when people are dealing with stressful situations, they feel a lot of pressure.
Yes.
And also like reaching for anything outside of them to just get them through. So the fact that it's like, it seems very comforting because it's like, oh, you don't have to grasp. You just have to kind of turn inward with your guidance, just like things that already are there for you, and then apply that in a different way with a different mindset. And it's hard to be in a different mindset when you're suffering. So it's nice that you're there to help people along, for sure.
Well, I appreciate that. That's what I try to do. I think it's hard enough to ask for help. It's hard enough to have to face, the things that one might feel are lacking or deficit within them. We all have things that we can improve on. Some things are hard to either accept or hard to change. Habits are hard to change. But at the very least, I want my clients to feel a sense of it's okay. On the broadest level, it's fine. You are who you are. You bring to this table what you bring to this table, and let's just see where it goes from there. Sometimes that's frustrating for clients because they want the solution, or they want the answer, and I can come up with answers. That's a sure. I could say all kinds of stuff. And in a different capacity. Well, you have. Again, I'm making this up off the top of my head. Well, your childhood trauma is triggering you to da 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 da, and then just sort of wrap it up in a nice sort of bow. It's like, okay, well, now what? Okay, that's great. So now like I remember that movie Tommy Boy. Yeah. This is in. We went. Okay, this is where I turn on the Tommy Boy. There's a scene where Dan Aykroyd, he says, "Well, you identified the smell. The next step is rinsing it out." I'm in the rinsing out stage.
Nice.
I'm like, okay, so what are we going to rinse it out? And most of the time, when people are looking for the answer or they're looking for the reason, they know it already.
Right.
They know it already. Well, what did your therapist tell you? My therapist tells me I'm ABC 1, 2, 3. My wife tells me I'm this, that, and the other thing. Well, do you agree with them? Well, yeah, okay. Well, so now what? I'm here to have that very weird and sometimes muddy conversation. But now what? What are we going to do about it? And I'm informed by you. I'm not going to tell you what you need to do about it. You kind of already know. Let's be honest. A lot of people already know deep down inside. But that's where the safe. What I like to make sure or ensure that I have a safe, collaborative, to use the words now, non-judgmental environment for this encounter, because then that's when people can say, you know what, I don't want to admit it, but this is that. Okay. And that's okay. It's helpful for me to know where you stand and how you feel. And sometimes that's just in itself, just creating that environment. We're just talking topically, superficially about stuff and before, it's like, you know what, Carl, I really want to tell you something. Oh, maybe 3 sessions in or 4 sessions in, 5, it's like now I can sometimes get that sense. And I'm sure as a helping professional, there's that moment you're like, okay, here it comes. This is the real deal. This is a real moment. And that's a special place. I love those, that I live for those moments.
Yeah. It's kind of like the breakthrough. I don't want to say breakthrough, but it's like, you've reached someone deeper in that process. I think it's like that shift from the intellectual knowing versus that inner knowing.
That's right.
And just being honest with themselves, and then how do people want to move forward, heal. Yeah,
Mhm.
no, I think this is why we love what we do.
I know,
Yeah,
right? It's pretty cool. It's pretty
yeah,
cool. I
yeah,
mean, I always say that the work that we do, um, and the position that we're allowed in people's lives, I always say that, the people are allowing us to sort of muck around in their life. Like, here I am, doing stuff and working. And that is because of that invitation, because of that, they're letting us in, they're giving us permission to come in. Um, that's almost, to me, is a sacred place, for lack of a better term. It's a place
Mhm.
a place I have nothing but the utmost respect. It's like me coming into your home. It's like, this is like the real deal here, and I have to be respectful of that. And again, I would never tell you how to fold your sheets in your own house, you know unless, of course, you ask me to help you. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Sort of silly
yeah.
analogy, but that's kind of what it is.
No, I think it's a good analogy, and I think it paints a picture of being in a health profession, a helping profession, working with people. Um, it is a sacred space. It's a special place, and it's an intimate place, and the respect needs to be there. The partnership needs to be there. The trust and feeling safe. So,
Mhm.
in order for things to move forward, so
Exactly. It
I would,
doesn't. Nothing happens without it. I'm sorry to interrupt you, but
yeah,
nothing happens. All of the other stuff, the techniques and the modalities and the approaches and the treatment plans and the charts and the all of the cool stuff, like the stuff that makes it
yeah,
cool, none of that happens. No, that's not true. I don't feel it really can go where the potential is limited without that beginning foundation of, like you said, I said some beautiful words there, that trust and that, non-judgment, safety, that environment, like good soil. If you don't
mm-hmm.
have good soil, then it's hard for things to grow. Will they grow? Yeah, you grow. But if you really want to make it, you need to start with some good soil.
Yeah. Yes, definitely. And I think a lot of my clients know I am one person that always talks about process. I
Yes.
love process, and just describing about the soil. That's what I love, the evolution of what people go through, and I love to be on that journey with them. And I think this is why you and I connect so well. It's because you appreciate that process too, because it's not a flip of the switch.
Mm-hmm.
And so, for people listening, if you want to go on a process with Carl, you should check him out. So, Carl, what are, you said that you kind of cast the net for people that need you, but what are, if someone's listening, like, how would they know they would be a good candidate to work with you? Like, what are some issues that people come to you for?
Well, like I said, I love working with folks who are feeling stuck. Yeah, your classics. You're feeling stuck, maybe feeling what we used to call plateau. Feel like you're doing things, but you're just not breaking through to the next level. I love that conversation. I love people who I love phase of life stuff too. I'm 53 years old myself, and so I know what that's like. It's like, well, what's the next thing? I want to be creative. I want to do a career shift. I love change, phase of life stuff. On my website, there's a services sort of section, and it has kind of different, I call it paths that someone might be on. And it has a little short description about different paths. And those paths don't necessarily lead to specific interventions, but it just is a design to sort of get your mind around, well, is it a stuck thing? Is it a burnout thing? Or is it a problem resolution thing? Do I want to solve a specific problem? So I would encourage everyone to go out onto the site, see, get the vibe of me. There's a short video there about who I am, where I come from. But there's a section there in the services where you can sort of, there's like, I can't even remember the tabs off of my own site, but they're there. And then if you want to call me or contact me and do a free 60-minute exploration call, and you say, you know what, I really vibed with the resolve path, and say, okay, So let's talk about that. What's the path? What do you want to resolve? Is there a specific blah, blah, blah? Then we kind of talk about it. You can email me any questions you have. That's the best way to do it, I think.
Okay. So those are great resources for the land of resources. So can you tell us what your website is? And we will go ahead and put that in the show notes too. But for people listening or watching, what is your website?
It's coachingwithcarl.net.
Okay, .net. Remember that.
.net. Yeah, I wanted to be special, so I put .net. Right.
All right. Okay, coachingwithcarl.net.
Yes.
And that's where you'll find the tabs to see, like, if this is something that, Carl, what he's speaking of resonates with you, you can go take a look at the website, look at the different paths and see like, oh, this might be for me. And then you're offering a free 60-minute consultation. Is that correct?
Yeah. I call them an exploration call, because I like this idea of, again, we're exploring, and so you can call me. It's a virtual call. If you want to do old school telephone, we can do that too. But I like to see folks and I like them to see me. 60-minute free exploration call. And we just sort of see where we go, see where it leads. And I'm also offering a summer special. So if you are interested and want to get started, you can click on there and you'll see when you schedule your call, a summer special package. You could just click that. And if you wanted to sort of dive into this process, then we can just go ahead and go for it. Because sometimes the summertime, it's a great time of rest, but it's also a great time when we're not as busy, to focus on some of the things that you want to work on. So.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I just think that's a very generous offer for a 60-minute exploration call. And it sounds like it's virtual. So that's really accessible for anybody that's interested. And also, I agree with you. Summer people just want to lay low, but it's a good time to open up. And maybe if this is something that if you are needing some help, maybe this is the time to do it before things pick back up in the fall. So also a good time. I was going to say something, which is, I'm having a brain fart. Help me.
Help me. Are we supposed to, isn't this
my
part
strength to get me out of my brain fart?
Is it the dance moment? Is this where the dance break usually comes in? I don't know. That
all right, maybe I can take it out of me.
I told myself I wasn't dancing, but here I am
That's
dancing.
true.
Gosh, your influence is rubbing off on me. No, this is great. This is great.
Yeah.
I mean, I hope that this journey through the land of resources was helpful. Like I said, it's a very accessible land. It's a land that's oftentimes not visited because we're looking for solution land, or that's a really big one, or the what's big now is the make money fast land. They're busy. Their tourism board is really high, but everyone forgets about resources. They're there and we need to trust them, and they've served us well. We just maybe didn't even know it. So I'm all for that, and I'm ready to get my hands dirty and start
mining.
Little hard hat. I promise I won't wear hard hat though unless you want to.
Unless that helps them get, yeah. Nice. You can add props if you need props.
Props are great. Good. Props are great. I love it. Yeah. I love it.
Well, I did want to say, I think my brain fart surfaced now since the dance. So thank you.
This is the dance, utilizing that.
Yeah, which is to let people know, again, if you're listening or watching, that all the stuff you do is remote. Is that correct? Do you do anything in person?
I mean, I'm located in Tacoma, Washington. So if you're in the Tacoma area and you want to, meet in real life, I'm open to that conversation. But right now, the online sort of platform it's everywhere now. So it's really for convenience. So it's really great because I've spoken with folks as far as the UK, in California, and so that's really the primary modality. But yeah, I'm open to in real life, let's go for a walk, let's have a coffee, that's also cool too.
Okay, great. Well, we have listeners all over the place. So it's just like for anybody, how far away you are, they have that option if they want to get in touch with you. So
can't wait.
Yeah. All right. So any other things you want to say before we go? No,
thank you. This has really been great. I feel I feel very happy about our conversation, and I'm just happy to really have you as a new friend. I mean, that's the best part of all of this. So I'm glad to be on your show.
Oh, thank you. Likewise, I'm happy you're here. I love your outlook. I truly believe you are someone that can open up possibilities for people, and that's what this show's about. We're all just trying to get through it, especially
Right.
these times. And so it's just really nice to know that there's more support out there, and I'm glad you're one of them. So
Huh.
thank you, Carl.
Thank you for visiting my land of resources. Come back anytime.
Thanks for joining the Passionate Health Advocate Show with your host, Denise DeShetler. Like what you see and hear? Then subscribe to our YouTube channel and share this podcast with those who need to hear it.